Oh yeah!
Hey everybody, in this video I want to show you the steps, maybe not the steps, but I want to show you the technique to create a video game controller using Autodesk Inventor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to New and I want to use Standard Part. I'm going to go to Create. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start a 2D sketch and I'm going to select this XY plane. It doesn't really matter which one, but I'm going to select this plane right here. Then what I want to do is I'm going to bring in an image of a controller that I found. I don't work for Xbox, but I just like this one here. So I've kind of created an image of that. So I'm just going to click it, open it. I'm going to kind of place this somewhere in the middle here. I'm going to right click, hit OK. So then I can dimension this. So click on the top of this, drag it up. So let's say I want to make this like 6 inches wide. And then I want to center this as best I can. So I'm going to click dimension. I'm going to click the center dot here, click one of the ends. And then I want for the dimension here, I'm going to click this dimension, divide this by 2, hit OK. And then I'm going to dimension this side here, but it's already going to be kind of set for me. But so when I place it, it's going to say, you know, it's going to over constrain it, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to hit accept because really what I want to use that for is to dimension from the center to the top edge. And again, I'm going to click this. So this dimension, I want to make it whatever this is divided by 2. And then so it says I need one more dimension. So if you notice, I can grab this corner and kind of rotate it like that. So I need to constrain that to where I can't rotate it right. So let me just kind of leave it rotated a little bit. So what I want to do is I'm going to add a vertical constraint to one of the edges here. It's actually upside down. That is not the way I wanted it. Let me do it like this. All right, now I want to go vertical constraint, click one of the edges here, and now it kind of locks it straight up and down. So now I'm fully constrained with this sketch. And it's kind of somewhat in the center. So yeah, what I want to do now is I'm going to finish my sketch. And let me zoom out a little bit. What I really want to do is I want to make this to where I'm oriented to something like this, like so. So I'm gonna right click the picture of the little house up here. I'm gonna go set current view as home. Let me do a fixed distance. And then for this, I'm gonna click the bottom side here. And then I'm gonna right click, set current view as front. So now when I click the house, it kind of lines up the way I want it to. So now what we want to do is to kind of create the form to start creating our controller. So what I want to do is I'm going to go up to box where it says create freeform. I'm going to create a box. And then for the length of this box, I want it to be 6. And then for the faces, I'm going to select 6 also. For the width, I want this to be, which is really going to be 4, somewhere around 4, or I could say 4.118, like in the image here. So 4.118. The height is going to be about 2. The faces for the width, that's going to be 4. You can play around with these, but I wouldn't get too crazy with the faces. And then the height, we can leave that too. And then I'm going to click on length symmetry. I want to click on, for the direction, I want to pick the second option, both directions. So now I'm going to click, okay, what plane do I want to draw this box on? So it's going to be the XY plane, because that's the plane that my sketch is on. And then where do we want to kind of put our box? So I'm going to select this kind of center dot here. And so there's our kind of form for our controller. So it kind of looks like a bar of soap or maybe a suitcase. So then I can hit OK here. Oh, also I clicked link symmetry. So you notice it drew like a yellow dashed line down the middle. So with that, any changes I make to one side of this form, the exact same changes are going to be made to the other side, which makes it easier because usually a controller is the same. It's kind of symmetrical about the middle, left and right, not so much top and bottom. So those are going to be different. So anyway, I'm going to click OK here and you can kind of see what we have. So how do we kind of mold this thing to where it looks like our sketch? So think of this as like a big old blob of clay, and we're sculptors, and we're gonna kind of mold it so we can kind of push in some parts and pull out some parts and twist some parts, and we can do all kind of fancy things. But this is not really an exact science, so you're gonna have to kind of play around with it and kind of experiment with it. But let me show you kind of the awesomeness of what we can do here. So if I look at the front, actually let me set this thing the way I want it. So I want it in this direction, but I really want the front to be here. So I'm going to click on this side of the box. I'm going to make this my front view. And then now when I click the house, okay, everything looks good. So now, all right, so when I click on the top view, if you toggle translucent up here, you can see your sketch kind of through our form here. And then what we can do is, I'm going to edit form over here. So click edit form. And you can kind of grab, you can edit the faces. You can grab a face, you can move it left and right, up and down. You can twist it. You can select an edge. You can do the same thing. You can move it around, twist it, rotate it. You can also grab a point or an intersection of where those edges and faces intersect. So you can also move things around by the point. But what I want to do first is I'm going to kind of make a window here. Let me, like this. And so and then I can move, you see these arrows. So I can grab an arrow and move it down to kind of get it to where that line is. I can do the same thing for the bottom. So I'm just kind of dragging a window around, selecting all these kind of items here, and then click the arrow and kind of move it up like so. You can select the corner and then you can move it in. You can also with this, you can rotate it. So if I click on the little shape of like the pie looking shape, and then you can kind of move it up and down. You can kind of see it rotates those. Let me hit the X there because I don't want to do that. But you can also grab a point here, right? And then go to edit form. I have a point selected so you can move it up and down, and whatever's attached to that form kind of drags with it. So I'm gonna hit the X because I was just kind of showing you what to do with that. But if I select, maybe if I select this and then edit form, I can kind of bend this over a little bit to kind of follow the shape of my my sketch here. You can grab the end here, maybe kind of twist it a little bit, like so. That's looking pretty good actually. Then you can grab this bottom corner here, just kind of, like I said, it's not an exact science. It's just something you're gonna have to kind of play around with and tweak a little bit. Kind of move these in. You can grab this point here, or this edge. Maybe grab this. Select more than one by holding down Control. Just kind of grab the arrow and kind of pull it out a little bit. You just kind of have to play around with these to kind of get them to do what you want. But the good thing is what you do on one side, it affects the other side as well. That looks pretty good. Yeah. Not too bad, not too bad. Another thing you can do is, let me see if I can rotate this in a little bit. not so much. So you can also check where it says toggle smooth here. And you can kind of get these kind of corners here to kind of move them in this way as well. You want to make sure that your corners are not kind of overlapping each other or getting all tangled up. Like so. Grab this. It's not too shabby, not too shabby. Just kind of go around maybe this one here. Like I said, however you design yours, you just kind of have to play around with how this thing looks. So it's not an exact science. See how this one is kind of underneath that. I'm not sure if I can get that and grab it. So let me move this one over. Now I can grab that one. Move it back. Not too bad, not too bad. Hit the check mark there. Grab this thing, edit form again. Move this corner. Then we can toggle smooth back again and make it smoother. We can turn off our translucent. So see how some of these are kind of wonky here. So maybe just kind of move these over to where they have kind of a smooth curve going through here. But I think you kind of get the idea. Sometimes it gets in the way. I'm just going to grab this thing and move it out the way. Like, get over there. Don't want you here. Yeah, so if I record this whole video, this may take, hours or whatever, but you'll have to kind of play around with it, get it like you want. You can also turn the dimensions off of the sketch, so you don't think those are part of your lines, but that's kind of cool on the top. And then if you look at it from a side view, you can also edit the form of like some of these here and pull this up. Maybe pull this down. Look at the side. You can grab this. You can rotate it down, I think. Kind of squishy, maybe that's not what we want to do. Hit the X. Edit form, move it down. See now if we can, you can also hit the transform here. This is a rotate, and now you can kind of rotate this in or out like that, which is kind of cool. Same thing over there. So just kind of play around with it, get it like you want it. I'll try to work on this, and then I'll kind of show you what my finished product looks like. But that's how you can kind of mold your controller, and it's kind of like a big old blob of clay. So also you want to try to get where your buttons are going to be. You want to try to get these kind of flat. So you might try to kind of grab these faces and kind of make them kind of flat in this kind of top area where your buttons are going to go. That's just my advice, but however you want to do it. So yeah, have fun, kind of play around with it, experiment with it, create your controller, and yeah, good luck. All right, peace.